Hello, everyone. We are happy to see you here today. I'm Anastasia. I'm head of business development and marketing at the BitMask. And today we are having a panel talk, USDT on RGB. And we have an amazing guest. We have Federico, Gabriele, Viktor, and Anant today. And I think if you haven't met them before, I'm surprised. But I would like to give them a moment to introduce themselves.
Okay, I will go very quickly, as I already introduced myself for the presentation. But yeah, Federico from Bitfinex. Bitfinex, we are heavily investing in RGB and Lightning, and we have a team doing open source development, so we're big supporters of the ecosystem.
Hi everyone, Gabriele from Heracle. We're a liquidity provider and we provide banking services as well. We support a lot of Lightning and the space since a few years, and happy to be here.
Okay. Hey, Viktor from Boosty Labs, Utexo, building in RGB for the last 2 years, 3 years, like been a lot, and finally we launched this amazing network, and so happy to be here. Thank you guys for hosting us. Anant, go next.
Yeah. Hey guys, like this says, I'm leading Bitcoin Tribe and been working in the self-custody space for the last 6-7 years, so self-custody maximalist, but now focusing on RGB for pretty much the last 2-3 years. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. I guess it's not a secret that the stablecoins are a pretty hot topic recently. And I think like Citibank, they recently also released the report that by 2030, the market will reach not even $3 trillion market, but $4 trillion market. Yeah, it's increasing, it's increasing. I hope it's because of all satellite events speaking about stablecoins. But so I feel like the question today is then, do you think it's like the perfect moment for USDT to launch on RGB?
I think that the timing is right because, I mean, it's not the first time that USDT has been on Bitcoin, because back in the days, actually, USDT first launched on OmniLayer. But I think the timing was not right at the time because there was not so much demand for stablecoins. And then, like, the first, actually, stablecoin boom was around the ICO era, so with on top of Ethereum, and then that got some network effect there that made the stablecoin economy develop on Ethereum, Tron, and a few other chains. But the thing is, I mean, at the end, Bitcoin is the biggest asset. I mean, it's the biggest asset in the industry, and now people are forced to trade. If they want to do some DeFi trade. If they want to trade USDT against Bitcoin on DeFi, they are forced to use some wrapped Bitcoin on other chain, which is really a situation that no one likes, and no one wants to deal with a wrapped Bitcoin if they could have the real thing. So by moving USDT to Bitcoin, now you can have like a Bitcoin against the real Bitcoin, not wrapped stuff, like a real Bitcoin against the USDT natively on Bitcoin. With now we also have Lightning Network that we didn't have back in the days, so we can have speed and scalability. We can enable a whole different payment and trading experience. So I think now is the perfect time for it to get traction and user base.
Yeah, obvious that USDT was before on OmniLayer and the moment wasn't right. So Gabriele, you think now financial markets, all the markets, they're ready for Tether coming back to Bitcoin, but on RGB?
It's nice to have Tether back on Bitcoin. I do believe that it makes economically sense, in the sense that if you think about it, Bitcoin is the most liquid assets and volume goes where is the liquidity. We do have a lot of holders that are going to look for Bitcoin yield, native Bitcoin yield. And a great way to get that is with Lightning Network nodes, to route payments and etc. So I do believe that volumes will be routed there. We will get increasingly volume on Lightning Network. That's what Kaleidoswap is building, or other projects are building. If we bring also volumes on Lightning Network, there will be trading volumes. I mean, if we trading to Lightning Network, not just micro payments. Much more volumes, much more fees for the Lightning nodes, so there will be actually a business case and a way to get Bitcoin yield, where basically almost all the liquid funds are looking for that, right? But if you want to bring trading to Lightning Network and BTC, you want to have a quote asset, right, or a base asset. And yeah, USDT is the most used base asset, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Also, trading on Lightning with USDT, you have benefit when it comes to pseudo-anonymity and privacy in trading, counterparty risk management, which is something highly desirable, I guess, and even in terms of capital efficiency. I mean, everyone knows that Lightning Network is not the most capital efficient settlement layer, but when you trade RGB assets, you can have few Satoshi in the node, but you can trade a lot of USDT on RGB. I feel like that definitely improves the capital efficiency of the network. Yeah.
Gabriele, thank you for your insights. And because Federico mentioned already that there are different kind of proposed solutions before to bring assets on Bitcoin, maybe Viktor, you would be kind enough to tell us how RGB smart contracts differ from any other solutions which were proposed in the past, like Omni, Ordinal, Stacks, anything. What makes RGB is so attractive, especially for stable coins?
I would not say that it's about smart contracts or something like this. Actually, what actually RGB is? It's a client-side validation technology, and this is what makes RGB cool. Because, well, first, there is no connection to any, let's say, block times. Well, especially like having Lightning as a settlement layer, so you can kind of send transactions quick and send transactions private. So the sovereignty of your data, of your digital proof is kind of in your hands, which is quite cool, which never existed before. And I mean, what the biggest volumes on Tron is actually happening in businesses in interesting spaces of let's say international money remittances and wholesale trading and casinos and and not necessarily those businesses like when their transactions are tracked. So so RGB solve this type of problem, kind of recreating cash, but in a digital way. So this is what RGB make it so special and make stable coins issued on RGB looks more like a paper bills rather than like a digital bills, because it's not like we see on Ethereum or Tron, and it's amazing for micropayments, for macro payments, for any form of payments, to be honest. It's like a one use case. I was also talking to Voltage guys today, and they told me about the biggest use case in Lightning they see now, and this use case actually is from sweepstakes companies and casinos, that casinos finally educated their users to deposit money for their account from their Coinbase or Kraken account through Lightning, and so it's actually very cool. So once USDT on RGB will be launched, I was working with a couple of big casino companies in the past, like SoftSwiss is the largest white label solution gambling provider, and they process their payment system CoinsPay processing something like, I think this year they will do $25 billion in volumes, and most of this is actually USDT on Tron. So just imagine that how RGB will improve the experience. So having that Tron became quite expensive recently. Yeah, so I think with Lightning plus RGB plus some cherry picks on top, like maybe making Lightning non-custodial in a sense of UX, will actually will just change the stablecoin industry as we see now. Because I mean, yeah, well, maybe RGB sounds like a little bit geeky tech, but it's actually a revolution in finance, kind of like Revolut did for banking, RGB will do for stablecoins.
Thank you for your insights, and also thank you for the insights of what is happening in other ecosystems at the moment and how they differ from RGB. And since the Tron was mentioned, Anant, I will just ask the question, how you think the adoption of USDT on RGB is going to differ from the adoption of USDT on Tron? What kind of steps are needed to attract more the users and more interest to have more support of USDT on RGB?
So I think adoption of USDT on RGB, it wouldn't happen because of RGB. What I mean by that is, the way we have to think about is, it is USDT that people want. They don't really care whether it's on RGB or Tron. So we have to, how will that adoption happen is when we make RGB completely kind of under the hood, and people use USDT because it is cheaper and faster and the experience is better. And RGB has the potential to provide that. That is when probably the adoption will come. No one is like outside this group, no one is going to use USDT because it's on RGB. But we as tool builders and people who are building have to focus bringing out those RGB benefits to the users, like making it faster and easier, right? So that is how USDT adoption will increase with RGB, and that's what users want. They really don't care whether it's which chain it is on, as long as it's better for them.
Thank you, Anant. No, I do agree that the Bitcoin is a settlement layer. It's what attracts people. RGB is just a tool. It's just a solution, amazing solution. But I feel like this also brings us to the question that do you... Yeah, sure.
Like when you were saying about that users are cares about user experience, I just remember how back in 2018, I just in late 2017, I discovered for myself OTC dealers, like as a guys who are coming to you on a car with like a pack of cash, and you send them crypto and they give you cash. So I'm from Ukraine, so at least in Ukraine it was like this. So I remember I was sitting in a car of my OTC dealer, and I'm sending him like a 10K USDT on Omni. It was like a January 18 or February 18. And it took 2 hours until transaction been actually published on Omni, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit!" And he's not giving me money, and my money is not on my wallet anymore. And I was like, "What's going on?" And why the delay is happening? And then 2 months after, he was like, "Oh, Viktor, actually, USDT finally issued on this new shit chain Ethereum. Let's try. Is your exchange support withdrawal with Ethereum?" I was like, "Yeah," and it happened so quick, and I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to use this Omni anymore." And so I just it's interesting memory how I completely switched with one user experience from Omni forever, and I don't care that Omni was a master chain, master coin fork, like a Bitcoin based something, or Ethereum, like EVM, Vitalik, whatever. So I just did it because it was so quick. The same happened with Tron, actually. The same guy came a few years later and was like, "Oh, Tron is so quick and so cheap." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." Ethereum, okay. On Ethereum, I will do my sushi swap and yield farming, DeFi shit, and Tron just for USDT.
Viktor, I'm sorry, I just got too involved. When you start saying that you were sitting in a car with some dealer, I'm like, "Oh, okay, interesting. I'm just curious where it's going." I'm like, "I'm sorry, guys. I really wanted to hear these gossips." I'm like, "Okay, what you gonna tell?" But at least you make us laugh, We like on this panel talk some interesting stories about our speakers. We will remember it. We're gonna have more questions later on, but I'll probably try to continue my question before you're gonna tell a bit more stories. Yeah. Thank you. So, Federico, do you think Bitcoin will become a new hub for the stablecoins liquidity, or it will kind of still stay niche? Because obviously, with Tether announcement and everything, everyone is curious what's happening with the liquidity, what's the next moves, if it's gonna become Bitcoin will become a proper rails for stablecoins after that move, because obviously Tether is about 80% of all stablecoins in circulation. So what's your opinion on this?
I mean, it's not gonna be something that suddenly everyone move the USDT liquidity to Bitcoin, to RGB, because also, I mean, Tether supporting RGB, but it's not gonna force users to use RGB. I mean, it's still gonna be adoption will still gonna be market driven. And the thing is, part of the advantages of having USDT on Bitcoin is also on the security guarantees that Bitcoin offers. And those are appreciated only when something goes wrong in the more centralized chains. So I think a lot on the adoption side depends also how good they keep working these centralized layer ones. If everything keeps working fine, regardless of the high level of centralization, people may be less motivated to migrate to something that has better guarantees like Bitcoin. While if there is some catastrophic event, then people may move in mass and want to stay only on Bitcoin. So the speed of adoption will likely depend also on some external factors. But for sure, there are some use cases that are, regardless of your sensibility to the decentralization, they are immediately superior, such as with the Lightning Network integration. So I think a bunch of a significant share of the market will migrate to Bitcoin because of that, regardless of their interest in decentralization. But to have everyone or vast majority moving to Bitcoin, I think either it will take a long time because people are lazy, they don't migrate if they don't have a strong reason to, or we need a strong reason to happen.
So reasoning. Obviously, it will take time because it's new technology, it's new ecosystem. I would say we are a pretty small ecosystem, but we're going to hope it's going to happen. But I also want to hear Gabriele's insights on this because we touched the point of liquidity and there's going to be a new liquidity hub, like Bitcoin become a new liquidity hub for stable coins, or do you think it will take much longer time, or it's going to be still in the niche? It's like the same question I asked Federico, but I'm really curious to hear your perspective on this.
Thanks for the question. Yeah, for sure, it depends, as Federico is saying, about the business case, right? What's the business case and why are we going to attract the users or liquidity? And again, I'm going to stress the point I was mentioning before. I do believe a lot of capital is sitting, within Bitcoin holders, and they're looking for yields, and they want a Bitcoin native yield without, any type of financial risk like selling volatility, selling derivatives, basis trade, whatever. I feel like. If I recall properly, Jack Dorsey from Cash App declared that last year they generated like 9.7 APY on Bitcoin, in Bitcoin, with running the Lightning node. And a lot of people would love to get that yield, right? Even I don't believe that yield is sustainable. I'm pretty confident that the yield will, as soon as people will deploy and the TVL on Lightning Network will increase, I do believe that yield would decrease to something much more realistic. But I do believe that's a strong business case. I do believe also trading without counterparty risk is a strong business case. I mean, people definitely recall FTX or other types of situation. Maybe Viktor can say some situation with this dealer in the car. I don't know if anything went south. I hope not. But there is a strong business case for trading on Lightning a lot. LM Markets is doing, I do believe, I don't know the numbers, but several millions for sure. Maybe even hundreds of millions per month in volumes, right? People want to trade without counterparty risk. Ideally, if you can even not having the KYC, it's definitely something nice to have. Then you have trade-offs in terms of you need to manage your own keys, and so this comes with certain type of trade-offs. But yeah, I believe that there is a business case for Bitcoin decentralized finance that is really, really relevant, mainly driven by Bitcoin yield, the counterparty risk. And if there is that business case, then you want to have even dollar as an asset to on ramp, off ramp, let's say, to go in and go out from BTC. And ideally, you want to have that without counterparty risk, without doing KYC, right? And so I think that there is a business case. I think the UX is really important when it comes to distribution. That's why his friend was using Tron. No? It's all about UX. I feel like the Bitcoin space is full of, we tend to have a bit this really low-level engineering approach. We can keep improving on the UX side. I feel like we're working on that. There is an improvement. And yeah, so I'm positive and confident there will be more liquidity in the future, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriele. And I feel like the main thing to attract adoption is like big use cases. Now we can see that now, especially if you're even going to have a look on the token, most of the side events are focused on stablecoins, on real-world assets, on tokenization. And I feel like Bitcoin as a settlement layer is a perfect case for it. But I guess also while speaking to the institutional clients, what is really interesting for them, how how can infrastructure, for example, yeah, like Utexo, so question going to be to you, Viktor, not about like our situations, please. How Utexo, for example, could enable large-scale USD transactions on RGB? Because obviously when we're speaking about big players, big clients, they're curious about the large-scale transactions. So how it's possible with Utexo? Can you like briefly tell?
First Lightning. Because like without Lightning, like RGB is a slow, complicated thing, and then different ways. Like I mean, it's not actually a question like just about RGB. Well, first I would add to what Gabriele told in the beginning that having this capacity requirement of Lightning itself and the size of RGB versus two requirements that Lightning have, like is the capacity and the volume of transactions that can be done with let's say USDT on RGB can be achieved like in a way higher amounts, and one of the biggest use case I see for RGB on Lightning will be a native Bitcoin to USDT spot trade, and this will create like a massive volumes and massive opportunity like in regards of like a transaction volume at scale for Lightning and RGB. Micropayments will finally find its use case, because just doing micropayments in Bitcoin doesn't make sense because Bitcoin is volatile. So with RGB and Lightning, we can see a renaissance of a payment industry on Lightning with help of RGB. So it's like speaking about large scale. This is what I see.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting perspective. Sorry for throwing you under the bus. Just like asking especially about Utexo. It was more in general, but I decided you had just too good mood on this panel, so we need to make it a bit more complicated. But obviously, like we're highlighting the benefits of the RGB and the Bitcoin as a settlement layer, and what is happening in terms of tech, what can happen in terms of the liquidity and the adoption within the businesses. But I guess it's also kind of needed to highlight like what are, from your perspective, Anant, what's like the biggest obstacles at the moment and the risks for USDT on RGB? Is it like technical, is it regulatory, or it's just adoption? I feel like adoption we kind of covered, but do you think what like technical or regulatory could be one of the obstacles for the adoption?
So when tokens like USDT or anything is issued on a chain, the regulatory aspect of it is pretty much the same as it would be with all the other chains. So we have the benefit of that when it comes to RGB, that a lot of those problems have been tested and resolved, and lawyers know what to do, what to say, what to be careful about, how do sanctions work, and how do all those edge cases work, right? So regulatory challenge is not going to be as much in RGB, I would think. It would be more about adoption, which we have covered, and definitely technology, which we are all working on. Since we have talked about adoption a lot from a technology standpoint, I think RGB has a unique situation where a lot of people in RGB ecosystems are like competing but working with each other. That's quite unique, and I think that will be really useful because most of the people come in here with the Bitcoin ethos, and like for example, we have been working on Bitcoin Tribe, but we have been getting so much of help, not just help, but we have been building on top of a lot of great work that Federico and his team is doing, right? So the technology is challenging, and that is why it has taken so many years, and everyone in the ecosystem recognizes that, right? So I think within the next 6 months to 1 year, we will have that technical challenge also out of the way pretty much. So that's how I see it.
Thank you so much. I think technical difficulties is our favorite topic, and especially favorite topic of the community with the questions when, and we're like soon. But I'm really happy that like on 25th of July, RGB went on mainnet, and from now on, I think like the ecosystem becoming more and more interesting because more things are happening, and I'm really enjoying this panel, guys. I like talking with you. I'm sure if I had more time, you would tell me more fun stories, especially you, Viktor, from your life.
And the next time, when we cross the technology barrier, next time he wouldn't have to get into the car. He'll just like do an atomic swap and he'll get the money sorted. So that's how RGB is going to help Viktor.
Thank you guys.
But it's going to be more boring, no fun stories anymore, But I guess because we're like already running a little bit over 30 minutes, because I'm talkative, I'm sorry, guys. But I would probably wrap this panel with like your guys' perspectives from each of you, like couple sentences. How you see the stable coin, like how you seeing the evolvement, I'm sorry, or the Bitcoin and stablecoin spaces within 1-2 years, where you think everything is going with the trends, which we can see nowadays that many institutional players are getting into the space, where you think like, or what's kind of exciting for you can happen in the industry within 1-2 years. And I want to hear from each of you.
Okay, yeah. No, I think also the institutional side would be interested because now everyone is trying to chase the Bitcoin yield with the treasury companies, and I think the trading on Lightning will create also institutional attention to this, and this will bring the volumes that are like on the stable coin moving on top of Bitcoin and on Lightning with RGB can grow like very quickly, like very suddenly, like once you have a few big institutional players that start to bring a significant flow, chasing all the benefits that it can bring.
Sure. And that's what is exciting for you, Federica. I'm curious more what is exciting for each of you within the stablecoins and Bitcoin space. What you're kind of looking forward to see within 1-2 years? Like, what's your thoughts? Like, what you want to see in the space?
Maybe I misunderstood the question. So you mean like from the technical point of view or from?
Just personally for you. Maybe it's from technical point. Maybe it's like from kind of personal experience or anything like.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, say what I would want to see is that like to be able to do trading at scale on Lightning without having to use other layer ones with a smooth user experience and that is like a centralized exchange. And to be able to do it, now like we see like the first spotted exit, but eventually to be able to do it also with the derivatives and other more advanced instruments.
Thank you. Sorry for being confusing with the questions.
So I do have some controversial opinion, I guess. I'm not sure if it's 2 years the horizon that I'm looking to, but I do believe that the biggest business case right now for stablecoin is cross-border payment. I mean, rather than trading, right? And I do believe this will attract. I mean, it's already attracting few regulation attention, some capital control laws, some different government incentives to mitigate and offset the distribution of stablecoins, around the globe, especially if it comes to sell treasury bonds to your own population. On the other hand, I do believe that Bitcoin on Lightning is a great settlement asset on a great settlement layer. So I do believe, with a longer time span, I would say I would like to see Bitcoin as a settlement asset for global trade. I feel like it's going to happen. On the other hand, I believe we're going to see, stable coin running on a, government-based level in a certain sense, like more geo-localized. because everyone will want to sell its own debt to the population, I guess, and will create some incentives to avoid the Americans doing that to their own population. And yeah, so I believe a lot of cross-border payment with Bitcoin in the future, and a lot of atomic settlement and no counterparty risk trading on chain. Yeah.
Thank you. Viktor, what excites you the most?
Actually, I agree with the guys, but also I would add micropayments in a sense, if we will be able to pay in easy way for everything with stable coins, I mean for coffee, for in shops, in internet, so like just forget about old banking system with this cards. Well, cards are okay to use, but like if stable coins will kind of replace the fiat or digital fiat way of doing microtransactions. This will be super huge. Right now, I think stablecoin is already at a very, very good adoption, but once it will come to retail for micropayments, which we all hope and believe for lots of years since Lightning been launched, this I think will be super huge. Also, I would like to see maybe Lightning and Bitcoin as a kind of main layer that will unify all ecosystems. Maybe all shitcoins will be eventually be bridged to Bitcoin, and we'll have only one chain, and all chains will be forgotten like Bitcoin sandboxes. Yeah, but I think it's just my fantasy.
Yeah. Let's not go to bringing anything to Bitcoin. It's an amazing use case. It adds opportunities for use cases, but I feel like the main idea here, we are kind of more focusing on stablecoin for now. Yeah.
I mean, USDC also. Why not to Bitcoin?
Why not? Why not? Anant, what about you?
So I think in short, I would say borderless dollar account for everyone in the world. That is what I'm most excited about. Just think again, if it's already so difficult for people to have bank accounts, but downloading a wallet is super easy. And if we have a frictionless way to have USDT stable coins in a wallet with pretty much everyone in the world, and because everyone knows the language of dollar, they can interact. What you essentially have is a borderless dollar account, without going to an institution, without a bank saying yes or no, without a bank trying to censor you or any high costs, right? All you need is a mobile phone and internet connection. So that is pretty powerful, I think. It's as easy as downloading pretty much a chat app. And if you really look at our philosophy in Bitcoin Tribe, we think that the social angle is the most, one of the most important angles of the internet era. And that is what is going to get people closer. So if you have borderless dollar account and you want to interact with your friends and family, then having that social dimension is really going to bring about that change. So yeah, in the next couple of years, many people in the world having a simple borderless dollar account and interacting with each other is what I'm excited about.
Thank you. And to be honest, from everything was mentioned, I think we're moving towards there. Maybe slowly, but I'm sure we're going to reach everything what was mentioned, like micropayments, the borderless payments, which is in ease. Bitcoin is a settlement layer. Maybe it's going to take 1, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 for high levels of adoption. But to be honest, with all the trends, I think we're on the right path. We are going there. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for your time so much. Gabriele, do you want to add something? You're just playing with the microphone. Okay, then. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Please, rounds of applause.
Thank you.